Welcome to New York's #2 sports show. The Rangers win Game 1 against the Carolina Hurricanes. They win 4-3. This game had a little bit of everything, and the Rangers stars really stepped up, namely Mika Zibanejad. He's been so good in these playoffs. He now has 10 points in 5 games. Rangers 5-0 so far. Last time they were 5-0 to start the playoffs was 1994. But Zibanejad gets 2 goals and an assist. And then not too far behind him, Vincent Trocheck. And he's got 8 points in 5 games. And he has a goal and an assist. The special teams was really good. Perfect. In fact, Rangers go 2 for 2 on the power play. And they kill off all 5 of the Hurricanes' power plays. And the officiating in this game, I didn't think was great. I think that if you're Peter Laviolette, I don't think you're too thrilled about some of the calls and non-calls that happened in this game. But the Rangers really played a solid game, and it helps jumping out to a 3-1 lead. Rangers never trailed in this one. But it got interesting at the end. I mean, Carolina cut it to 1 early in the third, and then Artemi Panarin scores a goal. And so the way it's worked out, Panarin, he has 3 game-winning goals in the playoffs. He had one in Game 1, Game 1 and 4 against the Caps, and then Game 1 here against Carolina. So even though Panarin, you could argue, has not been as dynamic as he's been in the regular season, still coming up with key contributions at key times. So you'll take it. But, yeah, Rangers got a little bit sloppy at the very end, when Carolina pulled the goalie. But besides that, I really felt like the Rangers played well. And how this game played out was kind of what I talked about in the preview episode, where I do trust that Rangers special teams. I know Carolina's power play and penalty kill are top-notch. But I do think that the Rangers, it's a little more sustainable in terms of that power play. And how the Rangers' penalty kill has been, that helps. And it wasn't as if Igor was really all that tested. My evaluation of Shesterkin in this game, not great, not bad. And that's like for some of the games in the playoffs, Rangers have done a good job of making sure that shots were blocked or deflected. And so, don't get me wrong, Igor came up with some really big saves at some big points in the game. But this wasn't so much about him, this one. Freddie Anderson, on the other hand, that Panarin goal, the 4th goal, you can't let that one in. You just can't. And that would be, a big goal to give up, as it turns out. So Rangers lineup was the same and figured that'd be the case. And it's going to stay that way. I mean, obviously, if they keep on winning, you're not going to switch it up. So in other words, Matt Rempe in lineup again, Philip Hedl out again. And look, it's going to be a little bit till Hedl comes back in. But, hey, you'll take it all day long. As long as the Rangers keep on winning, there's no complaints. So Adam Fox had a couple of maintenance days during recent Ranger practices. So clearly that knee-to-knee from Nick Jensen in Game 4, it had an effect. Fox looked okay in this game. I think that it's affected him a little bit, but not to the point that it's anything, to me, overly serious now. But I'm sure they're going to really try to maintain that and make sure that, he's as fresh and ready as can be and probably not work him too much in practice would be my guess here. But, hey, the Rangers seemingly are relatively healthy, and that's really all you can ask for at this time of year. But, yeah, we've seen with the Hurricanes how important home ice is. And in recent playoffs, the Hurricanes are much better at home. It's a stark, drastic difference between home record and road record. They are very good at home and really not as good on the road. And so that's where Game 2, it's going to be a pretty pivotal game in the series, where if the Rangers can go up 2-0, and look, we've talked about this ad nauseum. They've been there before. It's not like they'll be out of the woods at all. But for them to find a way to win Game 2 would just be massive to me to take care of home ice, because I think the Rangers have a nice advantage in MSG, especially versus the Hurricanes. So to take advantage of that would be huge. On the Carolina side, injury-wise, look, no Jesper Fast is really key, especially on the penalty kill. And also Brett Pesce, even more so, because what it did is it put Tony DeAngelo in the lineup for the Hurricanes. And for me, as a Ranger fan, I like that. I like DeAngelo being in there, and sure enough, DeAngelo cost them. Took a really big penalty that led to a Ranger power play goal. So as long as Pesce is out and DeAngelo is in, I think that's a very good thing for the Rangers. And so, a couple of key losses for Carolina. Look, is Jesper Fast the top player for the Hurricanes? No, but certainly a useful one. So let's get into game one. Carolina, they beat the Islanders in 5, and they had a bunch of days off as well. So Rangers had not played in a week, and Carolina a little bit less than that. So not a big factor in this one, but a lot of excitement to start. The first period had so much going on. And right away at 2:46, Mika Zibanejad gets on the board. His second goal of the playoffs, and it's assisted by Roslovic and Fox. What a great pass by Jack Roslovic. So, hey, Roslovic in these playoffs, it's not as if he has been someone – he doesn't get that much ice time, but he's making some really key plays. The skill is there. You think about that big goal he had in Game 2 in the power play. Like, not many players could have – done what he did there. And then here, just uses his speed, goes around the net. Who was it? Teravainen kind of falls asleep, leaves Zibanejad open in front, and he buries it past Freddie Anderson. So Roslovic deserves a lot of credit there. And that line definitely made strides at the very end of the season, and it's kind of carried over into the postseason. So it's one of the Rangers there. But Carolina with a very quick response. A minute and 2 seconds after the Zibanejad goal, Jacob Slavin scores his first of the playoffs from Aho and Gensel. Little bit of bad luck where Slavin shoots it from the point, and it goes off of Lafreniere's skate, I believe. Lafreniere trying to get in the way of the puck, and it deflects off him and past Shesterkin. So, not a whole lot you can do there, but Carolina with that quick bounce back to tie it up at 1. Then things start to get interesting from a penalty standpoint. At 6:14, Kreider is called for boarding Seth Jarvis. So it was a hard hit by Kreider, and then it was interesting. Trouba came in there and leveled Jarvis after that. So, I don't have much to say on that penalty. I understand why it was called. But Rangers do kill that off. And then at 9:56, they call Tony DeAngelo for roughing Will Cooley. So this is where it gets interesting. Originally, they called the penalty on Marty Necas. I don't know what it had been called, but the penalty belonged to Tony DeAngelo. But for me, and there's a lot of conjecture and back and forth on what should have been called here. To me, it was definitely at least 2 minutes. PK Subban saying it should be nothing. That's kind of ridiculous. DeAngelo hit Cooley up high. Cooley went down. Brandon had a problem with that to the game, but Laviolette was upset. This could have very well been a 5-minute major. I'm just going to say that. It really could have been. I thought that was possible, but it didn't. They didn't call it that way. It's just 2 minutes. However, the Rangers certainly make DeAngelo and the Hurricanes pay. A beautiful, gorgeous power play goal by the Rangers. Everyone touched the puck. It was a Ranger face-off win, and it ends up being a goal by Zibanejad. His second goal of the game, third of the playoffs from Kreider and Trocheck. So Trocheck with a sweet backhanded pass to Kreider, and then Kreider in front. He also no-look backhand, and Zibanejad open net and scores. Just it doesn't get much better than that. And so the Rangers take a 2-1 lead there. Then at 10:58, Matt Rempe is called for goal interference. And so here's the problem. Rempe just has such a target on his back by the refs. Jordan Staal pushed Rempe. Rempe didn't do anything there. I would have had if nothing was called there at all, that would have been okay. But if anything, really it should have went to Jordan Staal. So they call it on Rempe, which is frustrating, and it's the way that it is. Any little thing he does, they're going to call. So 15 seconds into that power play, Trouba and Svechnikov go off for roughing. Doesn't change the manpower. It's still 5-on-4. Rangers kill the rest of that off. And then at 16:14, Evgeny Kuznetsov cross-checks Adam Fox. Now, in the midst of all this, there's definitely been some penalties missed. There was a Vincent Trocheck. Trocheck was high-sticked off of a face-off that was missed, and that could have been 4 minutes because he was bleeding. But anyway, I think it happened right before this. And Kuznetsov is called for cross-checking Fox, and again, the Rangers strike on the power play, and they do it in short order again, off of a face-off win, 14 seconds in. Mind you, Eric Gustafsson is taking the place of Fox after Fox just got hit with that cross-check, and he makes a nice play at the blue line. Eventually, it's a goal for Vincent Trocheck. So he scores against his former team. It's his fourth goal of the playoffs from Zibanejad and Kreider. So at that point, Zibanejad had already 3 points in the first period, Kreider with 2 points, and Trocheck with 2 points. And this was a play where a nice play by Kreider to put his stick on the puck to keep it alive. It goes to Zibanejad, who kind of fans on the shot, but Trocheck is there in front to clean it up, backhand past Anderson. So a greasy goal gives Rangers a 3-1 lead, and that was the score after the first period. So very eventful, a lot of goals, a lot of penalties, but you got to feel good about how that was at the end of the first. Crowd is very much into it, as you'd expect. Second period, thought it was a decent period for the Rangers. Much more low event. At 2:37, Jacob Trouba's called for cross-checking Stefan Nason. With Trouba, it's just, I'll say it now, like, he gets the big minutes from Pierre Laviolette at the end of games. And, I don't love it. I really don't. But he is very much dependent upon, even though he was technically demoted to the third pair with Eric Gustafsson, Trouba still he logs big-time minutes. And I'm not going to say, Trouba was not bad in this game. I wouldn't say that. It just, it is what he is what he is. That we know what type of player he is. It's just, what comes to mind for me is, he is going to get those key end of game ice time. And, that's the one. I think Laviolette has such a great feel for this team. That's the one area where I just disagree a little bit. And I understand that, Trouba is seen as a really good penalty killer, block shots, physical in front of the net, all that. But sometimes, just getting the puck out of the zone is such a chore. But I'll stop it there. But Rangers go it off. Penalty kill again does the job. And not to say, look, Carolina, whereas against the Capitals, it was just straight domination. Carolina did have some good zone time here, to be fair. It wasn't, Igor made some saves. It wasn't as if it was a total clinic on the Rangers' part, but for the most part, pretty damn good against a good Hurricane power play. So now let's go to later in the period. And, apologies if there were some things missed here. Between the Trouba penalty at 2:37 and the Adam Fox penalty at 15:14. He's called for slashing Andrei Svechnikov. Rangers kill it off. And the Rangers keep that 3-1 lead going to the third. You felt okay about it going to the third period, but you knew that one goal could change the whole momentum. And that's exactly what happens at 2:48 of the third period. Nate just scores his second of the playoffs from Martinook and Orlov. Rangers just kind of fell asleep. And Nate just kind of goes all in alone and snaps it by Igor. Igor gets a piece of it, but not enough to stop it. So, tough to blame Igor on such a good chance, but I think even he would say one that maybe he could have had. But yeah, in terms of players that were maybe guilty of not being where they were supposed to be. I mean, Fox a little bit, Lafreniere, and a couple of others that maybe, I guess lingering to an extent. But, yeah, this makes it 3-2. And so now here it is. You basically got a full period to go up by one, but a really big goal happens at 8:21, and it's Panarin with his third goal of the playoffs from Lafreniere. So Lafreniere, who, he has been kind of snake bit. He hit one off the crossbar, and it was a really nice play to get the puck to Panarin. So it's a 2-on-1, and he shoots it. And that's exactly what you want to do. With Panarin, he's got to be in shoot mode. It wasn't a special shot. It kind of goes under the armpit of Anderson and trickles in. So just a really, really poor goal there by Anderson, and ruined what was momentum for Carolina. You couldn't feel so great about it in a one-goal game. A really big insurance goal to put the Rangers up 2. And Panarin strikes again, even though he's quiet at times, but then he's able to get the results. And, I think that relative to what we saw in the regular season, the Trocheck line has been a little bit quiet, but still, they still get it done. They're still able to get that goal. And I think goals will come soon for Lafreniere. but it's nice to see that he still has a point per game, considering, of course, we know that he doesn't get much power play time. So that makes it 4-2 Rangers. And then, and I thought the Rangers played it really well, but then it gets a little bit dicey at 6-on-4. And I should have mentioned this by now, because what I'm gonna say is slightly negative, but it's more of an overall positive. The Wenberg line was caught on for a while here. There was an icing, and so that line was caught on. I will say, though, I thought that line was really good. I thought Will Cooley specifically, and Wenberg to a lesser extent. Will Cooley just hits all over the place. Like this, I've always said with him that his play lends itself to playoff hockey, and I thought that he was very noticeable. And I did think that Wenberg, and look, maybe him being off of that week helped him. I thought he had fresher legs, and I like what I was seeing from him. With them, they're going to get good offensive zone time. It's just a matter of getting those goals. We saw Kakko score in Game 4 against the Capitals. If they can chip in here and there, that would be great. And then also, I thought that fourth line was good too. I thought Goodrow continues to play a sound game. Rempe in his 7 minutes, I thought was more than fine. But anyway, 6-on-4, Carolina scores. And yeah, just a little. Rangers made it a little bit too easy. You have three guys in front, and Jarvis is able to stuff it in. There's just chaos in front of the net. It's Jarvis' fourth goal of the playoffs from Aho and Burns. So now it's 4-3 again. And, Carolina pulls the goalie again. Igor makes a pretty big save with less than a minute to go. They had chances. And then to make matters worse, it's a delay of game penalty by Trocheck at 1919. Now, they discussed that for a while. I'm still not sure whether that actually went over the glass and into the stands. But they do ultimately call the penalty on Trocheck. But what was really key, 6 seconds in, it was a blatant call. And I'm glad they called it. Svechnikov trips Lindgren. So that helps. So now all of a sudden, 4-on-4, which will become 5-on-4 with the empty net. But now it's a face-off in the Carolina zone. And what was really nice, too, is Carolina's breaking it out, trying to get into the Rangers zone. And Mika Zibanejad, just to cap off the already great game he had, was able to get a stick on Aho, gets possession, just was tough on the puck. Doesn't get the hat trick. Would have been nice to him to get that empty net goal. And earlier, he had such a great chance when they were up 3-1 late in the first, and he passed it back. So Mika, still wish he would, be a little more aggressive at times, but hey, he was definitely the star of this game, and the Rangers win it 4-3. So they continue to win games. And actually, if you go back to the regular season, they're on a 7-game winning streak, but that's, basically irrelevant. 5-0 in the playoffs so far, and Game 2 will be very big. To me, that's kind of what path does this series take, right? Because they win Game 1, and that was big. And like I said, going to the series, for me, a fan who, I try to be as objective as possible, maybe even leaning pessimistic at times, everything being equal. I like this matchup versus Carolina. I don't agree with the fact that, the Vegas odds are such that the Hurricanes were a -160 favorite with not having home ice, and I just don't agree with that. So I'm hoping I think what we saw in Game 1 is a lot of what you might see moving forward in this series. And, hopefully the Rangers can keep it up. Game 2 will be Tuesday night. I also wanted to say, the ESPN broadcast, it's just every which way it's brutal. Every way you want to talk about it, whether it's the broadcasters, whether it's the graphics that they put up, and just the coverage is just so much worse than what you get on, in my opinion, for TNT. Luckily, Game 2's ESPN, Game 3 and 4 will be on Turner. So, there's that. But yeah, Rangers win Game 1, big win, 4-3, and they will hope to hold serve at home at MSG Tuesday night for Game 2.